All right.
Everybody, welcome back to the Spurs 9501 podcast. I've got a long lost friend of ours, Eric from Houston, Texas, is back on the show. Eric, how are you doing? It's been a long time.
It's been a minute. Yeah, it's doing good. I'm glad to be back in the new Postecoglou era. So
Excellent,
yeah,
excellent. So
yeah.
we wanted to do a video today to get Eric's views on what's happening at Tottenham, just to share with all the subscribers and the viewers. So, Eric, firstly, let's talk about Ange Postecoglou. And I know it's been a while now since he's been appointed manager. What are your thoughts on Ange as the new manager?
It's the same thoughts with every manager that comes to the door here. He'll have my full support, but it does feel different. But like I said, we say that every time. Um, you know, Levy always talked about bringing that exciting attacking football uh, back to the lane, and then he appointed Nuno back in 21. Talked about exciting attacking football, and then appointed Conte. Uh, and then now we're here. So um, every manager will have my full backing. But at the same time, being under Daniel Levy I have no support. So I have no faith, I should say. So I mean, the manager can do what he wants, implement his style of play, but he'll still be limited having to deal with Daniel Levy all the time. And but it's great to see someone come to the club that preaches the exciting, attacking, free flowing football that we're so used to seeing and haven't seen since 2019 when Poch got sacked. So it's great to see that.
But
Um,
that's what I was gonna ask you. Are you excited by the brand of football that Ange is saying that we're gonna see now as Tottenham fans?
oh,
Does
of
that excite
course.
you?
Yes, definitely, because we haven't seen it in so long. Now, as I've gotten older, I've started to appreciate different styles of play. As long as we win, that's all that matters. I never really cared about being entertaining. I'm kind of like Mourinho. I'll take a 1-0 win every day. It's the 3 points
Yeah.
that matters, right?
Okay.
That gets you somewhere. But to have good entertainment back at the stadium, to watch that, even if we concede 4 goals and scored five, hey, I mean, yeah. So, but that leads me to my next point. His tactics, uh, great tactics. Did a great job at Celtic. I wasn't a fan of the appointment at first. Um, Given, yeah, he's old in age, and it's like, do you want to start a project with him? But his tactics. I mean, that was a key I criteria that we wanted to address, and so that's back at the lane. Um, and we're all like, okay, who's the Celtic guy? Well, let's think back 2014. Who is this Pochettino guy? But we seen him. He had brought great football to Southampton. He brought him up to like seventh, eighth place in that 2013, 2014 season. And so that was the same feeling with Ange, and him being Australian. It was like, okay, who is this guy, right? And so, because I was a Nagelsmann fan, but then again, it makes sense to appoint Ange. So I was like, okay, let's do it. This is our guy. We appointed him. Let's roll with him. So going back to the tactics and going back to the transfers, um, like I said, I have no faith in Levy, backing a manager. The way Ange like to play is a high line. Eric Dyer cannot play in a high line. I don't know why. What made him have the right mind? He can play just even in the center back position. He was always prone to mistakes. Even in that first season he was here, when he played right back under Poach, and then got moved to CDM in the 2015 season. That year before we got Wanyama the next year. He cannot play in the back line. Especially in a high line, given that he's prone to mistakes. Even in the back three, he was prone to mistakes because we thought, okay, well, he's in the back three. Well, he'll get cover, playing with Romero on the right, Davies on the left. But that wasn't the case. So Dyer has to go. Davies has to go.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of this notion is like, oh, but he's Spurs through and through. He's come through the club. He's a great serviceman. He cares about the club. Okay, that's one thing. But I what I see every day on that pitch, if you play like trash, you need to go. And he's been,
Yeah.
and it's not like, oh, this started happening in the Mourinho and Conte days. No, he's always been prone to mistakes
Yeah. Yeah.
in the
So
Pochettino days. And so,
so
uh, yeah, what's
you
up?
you know you want Dyer to go. I think I'll talk to you about the players you want
I'm
to go. Let's talk about the signings we've made, Eric, and get your thoughts on that. So Vicario, the goalkeeper, James Madison. Who else we
Solomon.
signed? Mano Solomon on a free. What do you think about those signings?
Good deals. Vicario was We always talk about okay, it was a cheap alternative. I honestly think Vicario. I have to give Levy the benefit of the doubt. It was a smart signing. I mean, Raya 40 million at the age of 28 is absolutely crazy to me. And so we end up getting Vicario, who's a great keeper. He's been praised by a lot of people in Italy, including Gigi Buffon, and that's great. And we got him for 18 million, and he's to be our starting keeper, and I'm proud of that.
Okay.
Madison, great signing.
Yeah.
I'm a little
I like
skeptical. Will
Madison.
we
Yeah.
will we would have gotten him
Mm.
if Leicester didn't get relegated? I mean, I'm
Mm.
sure the price would have been more, but
Yeah.
Madison for
Yeah.
like 40, 50 million in that range, great deal.
Mm.
And was it's taken us okay, 29, 2020 really. It's taken us 3 years to finally replace Ericsson. Think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
3 years
so,
to
but
replace him. Yeah.
we finally have a creative player besides Kane using our
Yeah.
striker as our only creative
Yeah.
player. That's
Yeah.
great.
Mm.
And then Solomon, well, we all know what Solomon was. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was just a cheap deal. Oh, he's free.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take him. I mean, he
Yeah.
has potential, but it's just a cheap deal, and that's the only thing
Yeah.
that is. But
He's
let's
not
talk
proven
about.
in the Premier League, is he? He's not proven in the Premier League, Solomon.
Uh,
4 goals in 9. I thought if he
that's
was any
true.
good, Fulham would have taken him. They've seen him for
Exactly.
19 games. They would have taken him. Nobody else came
Exactly.
from. But anyway, he's a decent backup to Son and all that. So I think that's good. Sorry, you wanted
But
to say something?
I wanted to talk about the transfers that hasn't gotten in here.
Go ahead.
Center backs. We can see the
Yeah.
63 goals last season. That was bottom five with three relegated sides: Leicester, Southampton. Who's the other relegation one? Who I'm missing? Leicester,
Where it was
Southampton,
Southampton and Leeds.
Leeds. We were five. We were bottom five amongst those three relegated teams, and we're a top 10 team now. Top
Yeah.
eight. I mean, bottom of the eight.
Yeah.
So we're in the same conversation with relegated sides. And this has nothing to do with tactics. This has nothing to do with the manager. It goes down to the quality of the players we have in the back line. And that's what that showed. So that's why I'm saying Dyer has to go. Davies has to go. Longley does not need to come back. So the signings that we haven't been making, I think VDV Van de Ven is a great deal. I don't think it's a cheap signing. I think it's a great deal. We get Jan Vertonghen vibes when we watch him,
Yeah.
and he's a great deal. He's quick. He's a
Yeah.
center
He's
back
very
that's
quick.
quick
Very
and
quick.
smart, ball playing, exactly what Postecoglou needs, right? Tapsoba. I'm tired of the conversation. Okay, well, we're working on both deals and we're going to pick which one. No, we can see the 63 goals last season. Screw picking one. We need to get both. And these are great quality defenders, both ball playing, both quick, both can work with Romero in a back four. Um, but a left-sided center back is so required. And it like honestly, you need a left-sided center back to play on the left row. He needs to be left-footed, is what I'm trying to say, and it works so well, and it looks so good, like from a just a football watching point of view. That's what's needed. If we can walk away with a Madison, a Vicario, even a Solomon, with VDV and Tapsoba and nobody else, I call that an 8 out of 10 window right there. A
Okay. So
perfect window that
so
improves the squad and improves
i-
performances and
now,
results.
if we were going to get centre backs, we should have got them quickly so they could go on tour and be in
Exactly.
Australia. So why have we still
Exactly.
got Dyer, Rodon? Can you remember Joe Rodon, Jaffet Tanganga? These
Hmm.
guys are still there. So we
Yeah.
could be having a centre
And why
for.
and why are they still there? Why are they still there? And we had to point the finger at Daniel Levy.
Yeah.
We saw reports before going on tour saying, Ange wants one of them at least. He needs one of them. You know,
Yeah.
and now that we're on tour and haven't gotten at least a center back, now they're pushing. Levy is pushing his journalists to say, um, oh, okay, now he just wants to scope out the squad, fill out the squad.
I
That's
heard
that's
they're
total
haggling.
BS.
They're haggling about the price for Mickey Van der Ven. They
Same
want to go.
story, different
They
year.
want. Yeah.
Same story,
Yeah.
different year. It's always haggling about something this, something that. Um, Even on the Pedro Porro deal, that somehow got dragged out all the way to the last week of January.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, it's the same story, different year. He will never change unless ownership changes.
So
And
yeah,
he would
that's
have to go.
unlikely to happen though, Eric. So when do we need, from your point of view, when's the latest we need to sign these centre backs for them to make any difference to our season?
Before the end of the month.
Yeah, we got to sign something
Because
before, so they can get into training. Yeah. Mm.
I don't want to sign and have a transfer deadline day deal. That's and then they'll take a minute to adjust in the squad and they might start wrong. They need to be
Yeah,
getting fit in right now into the system because that's what preseason is for.
yeah, exactly.
And we don't have his players for the preseason.
No, we don't. We don't.
So, like I said, 8 out of 10 signing. If the next two signings we get is Van de Ven and Tapsoba.
What if we only get one of those two? Are you still okay with that or not?
No,
No, it
need
has to be
both.
two or nothing. Yeah,
Two or nothing. Literally.
because Romero's prone to suspension. He gets too many yellows. We
Yes.
need two or three. I can't take it if Tanganga, and they're talking about buying Longley back as well. They want Clement Longley back. I mean, I don't know where we're
The
going with
only
this. Yeah,
I'll only allow Longley if we get two, and he'll just be as cover.
yeah, cover. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then do we need Jaffet Tanganga, Joe Rodon, Dyer? Do we need so many centre backs? And if we get those two,
So one thing I've noticed about Spurs, how old is Tanganga? Like 23,
yeah, 23,
24.
24.
How old
Yeah,
is Joe Rodon? 24.
yeah.
There's a reason why Dyer's still at the club.
Hmm.
We don't replace players off of performances. We replace them off of age. That's how
Yeah.
Daniel Levy thinks, right? So when Toby Alderweireld was getting to 32, Yan was getting to 31, we shipped them off because of their age, because I mean they don't have a resale value. We kept Dyer during the time where Yan and Toby were aging because of his usefulness. He was like 24 at the time where they were at their peak. And now he's 28, still before the age of 30. That's the reason why he's still here, because of his age, honestly, in
He
my
needs to
opinion.
go anyway. I
But
think we
he
got
needs to
your,
go.
yeah, we got your thoughts. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, Eric, is the big elephant in the room, Harry Kane. There's big talk about Bayern Munich. You know, they've gone up to 80 million euros now. They're going to come back. The president said they've got an agreement with Kane. What's your whole thoughts around the Kane thing? Is he going to stay or is he going to go, or what do you want to happen?
It's basically a repeat of 2021, and it's
Well,
really is.
the slight difference is that if he doesn't go, he'll be on a free next season, which you know, Levy
If
could
I'm
lose a lot of
Kane
money.
and I want to leave, I'll drain the contract out. If you wanted to be smart about things, because now you have more options than just a Bayern
But
and a
Levy is
Paris.
saying he won't allow him. He either signs a new contract or he goes. He's not going to let him go for free.
Well, that's up to Daniel Levy then.
Yeah,
So, but at the same time, the Bayern president wants to come out and was like, okay, if Kane keeps his word, I mean, it has nothing to do with Kane. You still got to deal with, Daniel Levy,
yeah,
who's a tough negotiator. And now you kind of screwed yourselves, because I mean, I just started getting into negotiations, and that's the worst negotiation move I've ever seen in my life. Because now you didn't, I don't think he knows who he's dealing with.
no,
Because now you didn't bump the price up 30 million. It's
yeah,
like Daniel Levy was like, okay, you want to talk about that? All right, pay the 20 million more.
yeah,
But minimum, shit, like 110 million, and then Kane leaves. I mean, you have to pay the price tag for what it's worth. And I know they're gonna try and say it was like, oh, okay, he only has 1 year left on his contract. That doesn't mean
mm,
nothing. You're buying a quality player who immediately makes you put Kane in that Bayern squad right now. You are a Champions League favorite.
yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly. So do you
his
think Kane
brother
wants to
doing
go?
this.
Do you think Kane wants to go to Bayern, or is the only game in town, so he'll just go there?
This Kane wants to go to Bayern. I mean, every time I see something about Kane to Bayern, it's always from a German source. It's never
Mm,
from an English source. The only first time I only saw something from Fabrizio was about the president,
mm,
and that was a load of trash. So I don't. I honestly, I think the best move for Kane right now is to just run his contract down if he wants to leave, and but the thing is, if Kane leaves right now and goes to for like an easy club, like I mean, in terms of trophies, I mean,
yeah,
Bayern wins the league every year over there. Paris wins the league every year over there. It ruins his legacy when you think about it. And I know that him breaking the goal scoring record is a big thing to him. Um, but it, it- I think it, he'll drag his contract out, or re-enter negotiations with us. But I don't think Bayern Kane to Bayern is a possibility. But
okay.
I already know if Kane does leave for Bayern, we're gonna bank that 120 million. We're not gonna spend that on a replacement
No,
striker.
no,
We're
we're
just
not
gonna
going to
put
spend anything. Yeah,
just gonna put Richarlison up there.
yep, yep.
It's just more
So,
money in their pockets
mm.
for Levy.
so before we finish off, Eric, any final thoughts you wanted to share with everybody on the coming weeks and the season coming forward? Obviously, we'll talk to you again, hopefully. But any thoughts you wanted to share with everybody?
Yeah, well, lower our expectations. I mean, I expect at highest we'll finish fifth this year.
But
Not fifth, sixth.
fifth gets you Champions League this year.
Fifth gets the Champions League. Okay,
Yeah.
then six. 'Cause we,
Okay, we're not getting the Champions League now.
now you got big players like Brighton, Newcastle, Aston Villa. As much as we hate to say it, but they're contenders now. And that's the reason why Levy wants to be analytical and be uh, data oriented when it comes to scouting players because he sees the success that Brighton's had,
Yeah.
and you'll see players that you never even heard of.
Yeah.
And the reason why he wants to be like Brighton because they all signed him on a cheap. But the difference is they bought cheap players that are good with tons of
Yeah.
potential, and we buy cheap players like Solomon that are still questionable.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, just lower our expectations. I'm really excited for the game tomorrow. Honestly, I'm really excited to see that. Um,
Okay.
it's gonna be interesting,
Yeah.
and but
We'll
yeah,
see. We'll see Ange Ball in action, won't we, for the first
Ange
time?
ball and all action for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, just lower our expectations.
Okay.
We're gonna concede some goals, but hopefully it's less than 63 from last season.
Yeah. Okay, Eric. Thank you very
All
much for
right.
your time. I
Yeah.
really
Thank you.
appreciate
Thanks
all
for
your
having me
time.
back on.
We'll stay in touch, and hopefully you'll come back on again soon. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I'd
Thank you.
love to. All
All right.
right.
Come
Take
on, you
care.
Spurs. Take
Come on,
care,
you
Eric.
Spurs.
Bye.